So as you may have guessed from the title of this video, it's official. DSP, Phil Brunel, Darkside Phil, the man, the legend, has gotten married. The cat. Now, what happened was last night I was just working late and people kept messaging me on Discord. Argent, you gotta look at Phil's Twitter. You gotta look at Phil's Twitter. And I don't use Twitter, so I'm like, what is it? Is it just him begging for money again? They're like, no, Phil got married. Like, not engaged, married. So I went and I looked at it. I didn't really have time to research this very much. But apparently, sometime recently, he went down to the courthouse with Kat, and they got a marriage license. So they're legally married now. So this was kind of a shocker, especially considering how long he lived with Leanna and didn't marry her. So I just want to be one of the first people to say congratulations, Phil. I hope you have a happy and fruitful marriage. And I say that completely unironically and without any malice. I gotta give Phil credit. He did the right thing for once in his life. Maybe he learned from his mistake. It was wrong that he was living with Leanna for so long and they weren't married. But he did the right thing. They aren't living in sin anymore, at least not in that regard. They're legally married, and I think that's a great thing. Whether or not it's going to last, whether or not their relationship is completely dysfunctional, I don't know, to be honest, but I think congratulations are in order. And I'm sure some people are going to attack him and say, oh, he wore a 10-year-old suit and they did it at the courthouse and there was no ceremony and people weren't there. I really don't think that matters. To me, marriage is about the individual people. It's obviously a religious institution to me, but also a social institution. And I actually think we often place too much emphasis on the, conspicuous consumption part of marriage. If I ever get married, I'd rather it just be a small gathering. I don't like it. It bothers me when people go broke and then they spend the next 10 years paying off their wedding. I don't really like that. I think it's detracting from the purpose of the event. As to its validity, in Catholicism, we believe that marriage is a natural institution. It doesn't necessarily come from the church. Like, a priest will perform it to kind of make sure it's valid, but the instrument of the sacrament of marriage is the two people, the man and the woman, and they don't need to be Christian for this to be valid. So some people might get remarried if they convert, just to confirm, but generally speaking, if it's like a Confucian wedding or a Buddhist wedding or an Islamic wedding, provided it's to the first spouse, then it's a valid marriage. So Phil's marriage, as far as I can tell, is valid. And once again, I'm glad they're not living common law. I'm glad for once in his life, it seems he's taking responsibility and he's doing the serious adult thing. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going to attack him over this. I don't know all the details before people go after me. Maybe this thing is a farce. Maybe he's making it up. I don't know. But I think it's kind of low if people attack him over... I mean, regardless of what we think about him, and I've been very critical of him, and I think he's an asshole and a scammer. If we buy any bit of his financial situation, he doesn't really have the money for an expensive wedding. And there wouldn't really be a point because he's a hermit who just lives by himself with Kat. The only people, I guess, who would come to it would be his parents at this point, which is really sad and tragic. But it also means there isn't really a point in having a big ceremony. So, once again, just fair is fair. I'm not gonna, attack the guy when I think he does something right. As I've said, and I think people appreciate this about me regarding Phil, if I think he's right about something, I'll agree with him. If I think he's wrong about something, I'll disagree with him. Will I take his character into account when I'm judging something? Yeah, I tend to assume the worst in him. But that's just because that tends to be how he is. And just because I make fun of him, once again, doesn't mean I hate him as a person. He is a slime ball, but there's much, much worse people on the internet. At the end of the day, he's an asshole who emotionally manipulates his fans. But I don't know, like, if he's really committed any, like, actual crimes, per se. Like, he hasn't, like, touched kids or assaulted people or, like, I guess he's committed, like, semi-fraud, but, like, actual fraud. So, congratulations, Phil. Hopefully this teaches you some responsibility and you become a serious adult. God bless.